I am not satisfied with God of War Ragnarok. It has occurred to me that throughout the gameplay and the many walkthroughs that various YouTubers have made, this game was intended to be a finale of some sorts. At the beginning, I was thinking in my head, I was just like, maybe they can make this into 2 parts, because they have done that before, mainly with movies, in my opinion. However, it has been done, even with like games and whatnot, even if it's like, just another sequel to a game series and whatnot. But it has occurred to me that it does not feel like it's gonna have a part 2, and it was at the end. Like spoiler, Atreus leaving. Atreus leaving. There is no other Norse mythology one. Now there probably will be an Egyptian one, but that is besides the point of this whole thing. What I was looking for was another Infinity War event, right? I was looking for something to where there's so much shit going on. Like there's so much, it's damn near a roller coaster, right? But it's like hitting those marks of satisfactory to where I don't feel overwhelmed. I don't feel like, damn, there's like, I can't even begin to comprehend how they're gonna do, like continue this on, what's next. Like, no, I didn't feel that way with Infinity War. I felt like I was allowed into Disney World free of charge. And by free of charge, I mean like none of my family members paid for it. Like, because every other time I went to Disney World or Disneyland, I legit would not pay for it because it's expensive as fuck. But I mean like the entire family could go there for free. For free. And all because they like were lucky. Like we were lucky and whatnot. That's how Infinity War felt. A free trip to Disneyland for at least a week. At least Disneyland or Disney, either or. Like if I'm gonna be dead for real with you. That is what I wanted. However, instead, I got something. It was not like Endgame. Endgame was overwhelming. Endgame was overwhelming as hell. If I'ma just be real, it was too damn much. It was too damn much. Okay. This game, it was not too much. God of War Ragnarok was not too much for me. I actually loved so many parts of it and have fallen in love again with this concept of a different mythology of God of War. Like, I love that. What I don't love is that maybe I'm more mad at myself. Maybe it was my expectations. I expected too damn much from this game, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I expected one with the battles and stuff like that. I expected for the God of War of the Norse lands tier to battle Kratos in some way, shape, or form. At least philosophically. You know how in like Marvel and whatnot with Vision, and if you've seen WandaVision and stuff, some of us haven't. I really haven't seen all the episodes and whatnot. I have caught up to explanations of it though, and it had mentioned at the end when Vision had talked to his white Vision. A white Vision version of himself. They had a philosophical talk. That was their battle. They didn't exchange blows and whatnot. Not that I think so. No. They exchanged their thought processes, their ideas, how they believe certain things should pan out. And I was over here just thinking like, I would have actually liked that. I would have loved if there was an argument like that, showing just how different both gods of war truly are, and they don't even have to really come to blows. Oh, I would have adored that. However, the only reason I had this thought process was during the trailer when Tyr stood up. I thought he was looking down at Kratos being like, this is the god of war, the ghost of Sparta, like that type of dialogue. That's what I was thinking, like, oh shit, that's gonna occur. It didn't. It did not. That was just one of the things. There was another video where I have made on Odin and Thor and Heimdall. I made videos on those beforehand, like, explaining that why I wasn't as satisfied with their appearances in this game as I felt like I could have been. And by satisfied, I mean like, oh my gosh, had me going like, God damn, I'm so glad that I viewed this shit. Because I already am like that with various moments in this game, but I want to be like that the entire time of this game. Like the entirety of the viewing. I'm just like, shit, I'm really happy. Because at the beginning of the game, I was just like, okay, I'm really fucking happy this happened. And then some moments of it, I'm just like, godly, this pisses me off. I was just like, I don't know if this should have been the way it was, you know? So that's another thing. Not only was it like, you know, not hitting that moment of just like, oh my gosh, that Infinity War brought me to. Not only did it do that, ooh, it smells like fries in here. I'm making fries. It also didn't hit that mark when it comes to the Norse gods. I did not expect to see Odin so early on. I had believed that we would see Odin so later in the game, or we would see Odin through like his crows or like other means. Like we wouldn't physically see Odin himself. I had believed as such for some reason. I don't know if it's just me thinking upon some of the like rumors and whatnot, saying that Odin is actually a very like either private or he's like a sneaky god. He doesn't show himself too oftenly or whatnot. I was thinking that in my head. I was just like, maybe he's different in that respect. Like he doesn't like, you know, show up too often and whatnot. Kind of like the final boss of the game. Like they don't show up too often until the very end or throughout the middle of the game and whatnot. No, dude shows up at the door right after Thor did. Right after Thor. You know, and it's kind of just like, damn, I don't like this. It's too early. Like it's too early. Ugh. Why are we seeing him now? We could really cold cop him now, but it's that knowledge that Odin is like Zeus and probably like Athena and Ares at like all in one. We don't know how powerful Odin is, so it's kind of like that's why we aren't like jumping on his bones and like, you know, killing him as we feel like we should and stuff like that. That's just like, I don't know. Seeing Thor, I expected to see Thor. Like, you know, I'm okay with Thor's appearance and whatnot. Like, I was fine with that. And then Odin came, and I was just like, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like seeing him so early. Like, we could have waited. I don't mind waiting. Shit, you know, I don't mind waiting. Because I feel like that would bring out even more oomph to it. Just like, oh, this is the big bad. And no, it's not because of his appearance as an older man and, like, you know, someone who has a leaner body figure and whatnot. Like, no, it's not because of that. Honestly, I actually like the fact that Odin appears as someone who is more frail and older and kind of wiser and has some sort of drip. I like that because it's supposed to make you think like, oh, what can he really do? Like, it's supposed to have you thinking like that, you know? I like that shit. But to see him so early, it's like, damn, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this feels right. It doesn't feel right, you know? Then going on with Thor and whatnot, I actually really like Thor. He's not my favorite character for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I just need to look back on things and see it more. I know in other videos I was just like, dang, you know, Thor's racist. But I was being a bitch like that, even though Odin's also racist too. I was just like, Thor is racist, but he's half of the race he hates. So it's like, what? But no, he's only like that because Odin conditioned him to be like that. So it's like, yeah, that's what I like Thor. I like the way he never looks like he's okay because it makes it feel more realistic. Like, you lost both of your sons to this man and his child, your brother, who you probably didn't like too much, but you still loved in some twisted way or fashion, just like this twisted family. You know, he also is dead due to this father and his son. I think I said father and son earlier, you know, and now you're having to see them because your own father is weird and doesn't care about you or your family, and you're trying so hard for him to care about you and your family because you love him some twisted way or fashion and stuff like that. Like, you're never okay. He looks like this. His hair is in his face, his pot belly and stuff like that. You know, it has his own gravitational pull. If you dropped an apple right next to his midriff, it could probably, like, you know, rotate around him and shit. Like, you know, he drinks. His own daughter knows that he has this bad habit of drinking and whatnot. I mean, Mimir even mentions that him and Sif had that bad habit of drinking and were very hard on their sons and whatnot. You know, he's grieving. I like that. He looks like he's grieving and he doesn't know how to really grieve. I like that. They did that correctly. Like, you know, that's why I like Thor's character so much. He's like, you know, he's dangerous. He can be a badass if he wants to. However, it is due to the constant conditioning of him not thinking, just acting and being violent that Odin has instilled in him. Plus him losing both of his sons to this father and his own son. Like, you know, plus losing his brother he probably didn't like, plus his father being, verbally and emotionally abusive towards him, like, plus also being conditioned to hate half of the race that you are, like the other side of the race that you are. Like, dude, this dude is, no one should ever expect him to be okay after that. Like, that's the thing. If you don't like the fact that he looks bigger, or you don't like the fact that his hair's always in his face, or you don't like the fact that he be a drunkard and whatnot, like, baby, it's part of his character. He doesn't know how to, like, deal with his emotions because his father never teaches him how to deal with his emotions and whatnot. He's in a horrible situation. Now, this is not to say, like, oh, we should all just feel completely and utterly sorry for him. Like, part of us have to understand why he's the way he is. But the other part can also be like, yeah, no, he's still kind of a big-ass threat and somewhat of a fucking monster. Like, yeah, that's what I like about his character. You can understand him while at the same time still viewing him as a fucking monster. So it's just like, Anyway, going on to Heimdall's bitch ass, that's the thing. Heimdall is, okay, Heimdall's like right here with the braids in his hair, zesty behind and some shit like that. And with Heimdall, maybe it is because I have been thinking about Idris Elba every time I say Heimdall. That is why. I know Heimdall is not black. I'm aware of that, okay? I know he's not Idris Elba. And I'm also aware that Heimdall probably isn't a beefcake. But what I didn't, think or was not aware of was for Heimdall to just not have much of any armor on half the damn time. Like, I was expecting him to be armored up. I wasn't expecting him to be as snippy. Like, I was expecting him to be a smartass since he can literally damn near see everything and everybody's intentions. He has that power of foresight and whatnot. So I was expecting him to be some kind of sarcastic smartass or whatnot. But this dude is completely bullying a child. Like, he even calls them children. I'm over here just thinking, if they're children, why do you go out of your way to bully them? Why do you go out of your way to just antagonize them if they're kids? Why even waste your time with children, Heimdall? You're like centuries old. Why do you give a fuck about what's going on with them? Because it's not even just Atreus he does this to. He does this to Thrud too. I'm just like, you do this to Thrud as well. I say Thrud or Thrud. You do this to Thrud as well. Like, dude, you're a bully, but you call these kids. They're kids, and yet you go out your way to bully them. There's something wrong with you, Heimdall. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just what in the world? So I was expecting too much. Like with Thor, I was over here just thinking like, oh, I'm fine with how Thor looks and whatnot, and I actually like his character. I feel like he was well done. Odin, saw him too early, and to be honest with you, I don't know. I feel like him trying to act more trusting and acting more nice feels off, because then he's just like, I'm not your dad, but he sure as hell is trying to act like one, and even saying like, oh yeah, that boy of ours, like, Atreus ain't your damn child. Like, who the hell are you trying to act like a father figure to Atreus somewhat that's like understanding, or at least a cool uncle? He would try to do that while also being like, oh, I'm not your also I'm not your dad. Like, bro, come the fuck on. It was just and with Heimdall having a lack of armor as well, I guess him having a lack of armor makes more sense since he's cocky. He's cocky. It's just like no one has been able to actually land a for real hit on him. So it's like, why wear armor if no one can touch you? Why wear any protection if no one can truly battle you? If no one stands to challenge you? Why even, what's the point? Like, I guess, so I understand why they probably did it like that. But still, that was just my problem with those few gods. And I'm not as familiar with Norse mythology gods, if I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw Sif, I was just like, what kind of goddess is Sif? Since I'm so used to, like, the gods having a certain label that they are, like, hell, even in Greek mythology with Hera. Hera, she ain't no fighter. She ain't do too much. She was sneaky as fuck, though. And she was, ironically, the goddess of fertility, but would be trying to kill Zeus's other kids. So I'm just like, how you the goddess of fertility, but you be trying to kill these other children? What, because you mad that your baby daddy is over here sleeping with everybody else? I would say husband, but I don't even think Zeus wants to be a husband to Hera anymore. He's just doing it for titles and whatnot. But anyways, that was a little thing with Greek mythology. But I'm not familiar with Norse mythology that much, like talking with. So yeah, when I saw Sif, I was just like, what can she do? What she's the goddess of? What is she? And also, The thing I do like, though, that can be a pro to this, is that the Norse mythology gods are kind of not so overly powered. Like, yeah, they're people that you can make statues of and like worship, but they're not like literally heavenly deities. Like, that's what Greek mythology gods were like to me. I was over here just thinking like they're so up in the sky when it comes to the tier list, or when it comes to the levels of power that they are at, to where it would be like a once in a lifetime opportunity to see them at least once in person. And even then, it's like it's not likely that you'll survive seeing them. Like, that's the thing, is that's what I thought, right? And then you get to the Norse mythology gods, and it's kind of just like, bro, they die off really easily. Like, Modi died from Atreus stabbing him. And I was just like, Atreus doesn't have the power to kill gods. How was he able to kill Modi? What? I was just like that. How are they able to die that easily? And then you realize that they have that type of immortality. They don't have the Greek gods' immortality. Because if they had the Greek gods' immortality, bitch, they wouldn't have died from a stab in the neck. No matter how old or young of a god you are. God damn it. Like, if I'm going to just be clear with you. So, yeah, Norse mythology gods are different. And I actually really like that. It feels better not to have just another one of these like damn near divine deities and stuff like that you can't defeat. You have to actually have something special in you to defeat them. You have to be main character and shit. Like, I like that. I like that they aren't like that. I like that they're different from the Greek gods and whatnot. Though I do miss the level that the Greek gods could go to. Like, I do miss that. That power scale, I do miss that. It was really good. Oh shit, I was about to forget Tyr. I don't like Tyr. I don't like... Actually, no. Actually, I hate Odin more than I hate Tyr. I hate Odin because he literally hates his family so much, and he looks down on every single one of his kids, to where he was trying to impersonate Tyr, and he made Tyr into this, like, pacifistic, I don't want to kill anyone no matter what. They could be stabbing me in my abdomen repeatedly and literally be ripping your son Atreus in half, and I won't even pick up a shield. Bitch, he was like that for so long, and he was so like argumentative. He was argumentative to me. I was just like, why are you judging them? Not even argumentative, judgmental. He was judgmental. Talking about, so you're thinking about going to war. Like, bitch, no, we're not all trying to go to war. We're really just trying to not die. We're trying to defeat the big bad. It doesn't really have to go to a war, but you have to realize that we are the ones that don't really want this war. They are. They want a war. Odin wants a war. He said he don't, but he do. He's paranoid. Like, bro, you do realize this, right? You know your own father. You know he's paranoid. Now, you can be like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to take any part of this war. You could be like that, but you could also be like, I understand he's a threat. He needs to be taken down. I wish there was another way, but I'm aware that there is no other way. But I will not take part in the fighting. I wish Tyr had went like that instead of judging them every time like they were saying that they were opposed to Odin. Nah, instead he was just, it was so fucking annoying. Like, I can't. And I realized that this is Odin the whole time. This is Odin the whole time, man. And then you find the real Tyr, and he just wants to be left alone. Like, I was just like, I like that. It's like the con is what we've seen, and then the pro is like when you think about it more and look deeper into what you just saw. Like, I like that shit, Did I talk about Heimdall enough? I think I talked about Heimdall. I think I talked about what I didn't like about him. But yeah, that's what I didn't like about Tyr. And I would say that the first time I saw the real Tyr and the fact that he just wanted to be left alone, I was very fucking annoyed. I was just like, this piece of shit. Like, why did we see him? Why was he even in the game? What was the point? What was the point? I was just like that at the beginning. But then as time went on, I was just like, you know what? I like that, how they did him. I like it. Because honestly, if you've been in isolation for so long and you're not really used to talking to people or seeing anyone anymore, you're not just going to want to hang out with all these people that are either from your past or a stranger, like, after all them years. Because Freya is someone from his past, and Kratos is someone he is not familiar with. So it's like, why would he want to be around anybody at this time when he's been in isolation for so long. He wants to enjoy his freedom. He wants open air. He wants peace. Like, I can't blame him. And he wasn't judging them or anything. He was just like, I'd wish to be left alone. And then sometimes when you visit the other realms, he, like, he exchanged conversation with them, but it's never for so long. It's not a full-blown conversation like if you were talking to Mimir and whatnot. Like, exchanging, like, ideas and just, like, casual conversation. Like, his is casual, but it's not for so long. And I actually like that. They did it right. Another character they did really well to me. Thor and Tyr. Like, I was just like the real Tyr and whatnot. So I think that's it for the gods. The reason I'm talking about the Aesir, they're Aesir gods. I would go into the Vanir gods and all that stuff. Like, the fight to reclaim the 9 realms, to me, that could have been insanity. And it made me think of like this other game that I watched. It was Guardians of the Galaxy game. It looked beautiful, if I'm gonna be honest with you. And there was a time where they were outside, like they were in spacesuits. They were in space and they had like their type of boots where it clings on to a certain solid object or whatnot. They had that. That's what this fight reminded me of. A whole war is going on. You have all the 9 realms fighting back. It feels like a unification of some sorts. But it also feels like it is holding back. And I feel like it could go insane. Like, I was just like, bro, we fight against Odin. And I'm over just thinking, this is Odin, the one who defeated Ymir, the first giant. I feel like he could have gone even more ham, sweetheart. Like, I was just like, I feel like he could really go for your jugular and whatnot. We fight Thor again. Thor is like, this fight, I still love the fight, if I'm going to just be dead for real. But for Odin to kill Thor immediately after Thor rebels against him, I was just like, that feels off. Immediately after? And it's like, there was no warning in between there. It's kind of just like he was immediately stabbed in his throat. And then he disappeared. And I was just like thinking in my head, I was just like, ooh, they could have done this better. Like, I was just like that. And by better, I mean, they could have had it be like, a regular, not jump scare, but more like, something that's we didn't expect. Because with that one, that was completely and utterly unexpected to me. And it was too sudden. I was over here just thinking, like, I wanted Odin in that moment to be like, kind of like accepting, and then it looks like he's about to prepare to fight Thor. And then Thor, like, he grips his, like, hammer tighter, but then suddenly he gets stabbed in his throat. Like, I wanted it to be a little bit of Odin's like calm before the storm. He looks like he's about to fight his son in a battle, and Thor's getting ready, and then Thor feels something sharp in his like neck or shoulder, and then he was just like, and he looked at the spear, and then he says the name of the spear, and it's a spear that can kill the gods very quickly. And then like Thor is just like, this is what you preserved it for. And then Odin's just like, like, one of those, just one of those last resorts. Like Odin says, last resorts and whatnot, and then Thor dies. Like, I wanted it to be like that. I wanted it to be drawn out a bit more. I wanted it to be more like, oh shit, are we gonna see Odin versus Thor? Like, I wanted it to be baiting us into that, which is just like, why would you want that? Like, wouldn't that be unsatisfactory? But that's the thing. That's what I expect from Odin. I expect Odin to be making all these promises and talking like he's really a fair and civilized god, but he's really just dirty down low in the mud and shit like that. That's what I expect from Odin. But to get that, he just suddenly, just too fastly killed his first child, his first son. Like, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. And then the next thing he does is like throw the hammer at Thor. I'm just like, damn. No, I laughed because it was so sudden. I was just like, oh my gosh, bro. He did not skip a beat. He did not skip a beat. I don't even think Odin took a time to breathe, took a millisecond to breathe before he threw that, like, hammer at Thor. I was just like, God damn, bro. It's like he prepared. He prepared for this shit. I was just like, it's like he knew Thrud would be there, so he would have to throw that hammer at her. I was just like, bro, come on now. And I'm over here just thinking, like, one, he's able to, not only lift the hammer, of course he is, but it's just that throwing it at your granddaughter really shows, again, he don't care about anybody but himself. So yeah, and they told it in a literal sense. That dude did not care about throwing that hammer at Thrud. I don't even know if he would have known that hammer would, like, not kill her. Like, I'm over just thinking, like, did you know it would not kill Thrud? Like, or really injure her. Like, did you care? Like, did you even think? Like, I don't know. Odin, what the fuck? And then we fight Odin. For some reason, maybe it's just me being so just enthralled. Is that the word? Is that even? Hold on. Yep, it is. Enthralled by the Greek gods and their capacity to just like, change and shit, like all their powers and shit like that. Like Zeus being able to just transform into almost anything. I've heard stories where he transformed into golden rain just to impregnate a woman in a cell. I was just like, dude, this dude is, oh my gosh, Zeus. Like Zeus was able to do that. I don't know if I said Thor or Zeus. Hopefully, like I meant Zeus. In the Greek god, Zeus was able to do that. And he able to change into different animals. I think he changes into like a eagle or a hawk a lot too. For me to expect that. And they can turn large too. I think it's due to them having the blood of titans as well as being like, the new titans or the new gods and whatnot. They're able to transform into like bigger versions of themselves. So I like that. I like it. Maybe it's just tickling my simplistic mindset of just the old school battles of God of War. But I really wanted there to be a boss fight with someone that's just uncharacteristically huge, just unimaginably huge. That's what I expected. For some reason, even though we fight so many huge enemies in the first God of War 2018 game, we fight a dragon, dude. That's just one of the enemies we fight. We fight a fucking dragon. We fight a reanimated giant. A really big one, too. That's what we fight in that game. But for some reason, I needed to be like, oh my gosh, how is anybody gonna survive? Like, I need to be like that. I need to be like that. Like, I wanted that. However, it's again me expecting so much out of this game when this is the last installment of the Norse mythology version of God of War. Like, it's just like I'm expecting all this shit to occur, and yet it's just like, baby, no, like I don't know how they're gonna do that. This game would be long, like too fucking long, if I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like 22 hours to, let's say, 30 or 28 hours and whatnot long. Yeah, if they make it any more, it will probably be a 45-hour game. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I would have been okay with it. Shit, I don't mind. Shit, hey, just to pass the time and stuff like that in between when I'm doing some schoolwork and applying for jobs and whatnot. Hell, I could be looking at this 45-hour game. Shit, I don't mind. But yes, now the deaths of this game, specifically our allies' death, right? For Brock to die when the whole game feels like it's been telling us that, something's gonna happen to Brock, from us actually traveling with Brock, because I feel like, I don't know if it's just me, it feels like we travel with Sindri more somehow. I don't know, because in the first game, I don't think we traveled with Sindri and Brock, like, by themselves at all. But it feels like we did travel with Sindri more times before for some reason. But with this game, it's like, it was just not Brock-centric. I'm not saying it like that. Not Brock Central or some shit like that. I'm just saying it had him more in it. And it just feel like, damn, are they going to fucking kill him? Like, I was just like, are they going to kill him off? Oh, I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't do that. Please don't kill him off. And then it's basically mentioning how he's only 3/4 of a soul in his body and whatnot. And I'm just like, oh, God, bro. If they kill him, is his 1/4 soul going to come back to him? Or is it just going to be like 3/4 of a soul and it's going to be lost and whatnot? Only to find out that his soul is like even more damaged to where he can't experience an afterlife. Something happened to where his soul split again and he can't experience an afterlife. And that's all because he wasn't allowed to die the first time. Sindri wouldn't just let him die. And I understand that shit. Because, well, one, I feel like Kratos would do the same shit if Atreus dies. Bring his ass back from the Lake of Souls and shit. But, yeah, for him to be doomed to never experience, his own version of heaven afterwards, it's like, bro, that sucks. That sucks. It's not even limbo. I don't know what you could classify that as. And they did that to Brock. But one thing that they did do extremely well from his death was Sindri's delivery and emotions afterwards. I love that they didn't have Sindri forgive Atreus nor Kratos, because it feels more realistic. It feels less fairy tale esque. Less, I would say anime, but I don't know. It feels less naive or cartoony or childlike, like, dreamlike. It feels less like that. It feels more on the realistic scale and stuff like that. You have this really nice dwarf who knew the mother of this kid who you've basically been arguing with and trying to prevent from danger the entirety of this game. You knew the mother of them. You even was like, even though it was a joke somewhat to me, I was just like, oh, he was willing to fight Kratos over this woman and whatnot. He helped these two because he knew who that person was, even though he owes them nothing. And he does that with his brother. They help him unite with his brother. They're fine, they're on good terms, and they continue to help Atreus and Kratos. And they end up even their home, realm between realms, exposing their home to Atreus and Kratos, even though Atreus and Kratos owes them nothing. They give to Atreus and Kratos. Kratos and Atreus don't give too much back to them. And for all their efforts to result in Brock dying after Sindri literally risked his own life to revive his brother the first time, it's like, dude, bro. What the fuck? That's the thing is, oh my gosh, bro. I helped you guys and you guys ended up killing my brother. This is the second time he died and shit like that. What am I supposed to do now? You want me to forgive you? Want me to be fine after you say sorry? Fuck your apology. I want my brother back. And he knows he can't bring him back. That's what makes it even worse. He knows he can't. From, his red eyes to him actually doing the blacksmith work with no gloves, no armor at all, exposing his actual forearms and hands and whatnot, his disheveled hair and beard, how he just looked like he ain't put no lotion on for weeks and weeks on end, how he ain't bathed for weeks and weeks on end, just looks like he really done gone to war and shit like that. I loved how they did Sindri's grieving after that. He's still in the armor that's coated in Brock's blood. So it's yeah. So I was a little unsatisfied with Brock's death, but I was satisfied with how they made Sindri react to it. So yes. Now, another death that we are gonna talk about as well is Burger's death. Or Burger's. I'm gonna say Burger's. Feels more right to say. This dude died and we knew damn near nothing about him. We know some of the dialogue he mentions and whatnot. This dude risked his life to fight a dragon. I think there was 2 dragons, if I'm gonna be dead for real with you. Risked his life to fight either 1 or 2 dragons. I think it was just 1. And he dies the most noblest, the most coldest of deaths, right? And we don't know a damn thing about him. I was so mad. I was just like, did we even get to know him at all? I was just like, oh my gosh. No, they did not just sacrifice someone like that. It's because they don't want to kill off the main characters. Is that why? That was before I knew Brock was going to die. Is it because they don't want to kill off some of the main characters? Is that why they did this shit? I was just like, I was so mad, Even though I didn't know him that well, I was just like, we could have known him more. Come on now. We could have known him a lot more. I would have loved if there was a DLC of Atreus and we actually got to see Freyr's camp again in some of these. And we actually get to go on a mission with some of them too. I was just like, we could have had that. But no, you gotta kill this dude. The Dragon Slayer. Berger the Dragon Slayer is what we should call this dude, bro. Why they do that? I can't. That was cool though. That was so cool. Freyr's death was so sad to me. It was depressing, if I'm going to be honest with you. Well, no, Brock's death was depressing. His was sad because I was just like, not only could they have expanded on his character more, but even when they didn't have enough time to do that, from what we've seen, he's not a liar to himself. We see that he is not the type of leader that can just immediately lead them into wars. Freya is that type. She can lead them into wars. Same with Kratos. Kratos definitely can. Dude is really a general on that shit. But with Freyr, he wasn't. His kindness is what brought people together, what brought people to thinking, his contribution to them being there, him helping them when they thought all else was lost. That's what brought those people together and stuff like that. That's what brought those people to respect him and listen to him. To have Alfheim listen to you when they've been at war for so long, to work together to defeat Odin, all because you went up there to talk to them, bitch. Like, bro, that's impactful. That was pretty cool. I was just like, and Freyr managed to do that shit. And I was just like, I didn't expect him to die. I was just like, man, I actually kind of like this dude. And one of the greatest things before he like died and whatnot, like, you know, way before he died, Kratos just picked his ass up and just like, you know, haul ass ran to the lake and whatnot. I was just like, bro, I know that was uncomfortable for Freyr, but I bet that shit was so fun. If he looked back on it, that shit was fun, bitch. You being carried by the ghost of Sparta through an ongoing battle and shit like that, and you're in pain, you're wounded, but you getting about this, bitch. Like, that's a thing. That's really well done. I like that shit. But then he dies protecting everybody. And one of the coolest moments of him was him getting, is it Ingrid? I think the sword is named Ingrid. Him getting Ingrid back and finding out that that was his sword. That was really cool to me because he raised up his hand. I didn't expect the sword to come to him, but it did. And I was just like, oh, it was his sword. That's nice. I was just like, that's nice. And then he flew off and I was just like, now that's cool. But then he dies. Like, why? Why? Because Ragnarok killed him. Literally, Surtur turned into Ragnarok, killed him. We're also going to talk about Surtur too. Now with Surtur, I'm going to talk about something good with it. Like, even though I'm not fully satisfied. Well, actually, I'm not fully satisfied with a main character. Very main character. Very important character. I'm kind of satisfied with Surtur. He feels like a character that was not supposed to be in this game for too long. He feels like a character that doesn't need to be like looked into further and deeper and whatnot. He feels old. He feels older than Odin. You know, he feels older than probably Ymir. He feels old. And I like that. He feels like one of the ancients. And I like that. You know? Not someone you have a full-blown conversation with. He too damn old to be doing that shit. He just want to chill, you know, make some new swords out of pure boredom, talk through his love and shit like that, and just live the rest of his life and doing whatever he wants to do because he been doing a lot through his life. He too old. He's centuries and whatnot, thousands of years old and whatnot. He ain't got no time to be dealing with no nonsense. Like, I like that. I was just saying, Surtur feels like that type of dude. Really chill, blunt, bored, old. Like, he's just all of those things. Like, you know, even stopped Atreus dead in his tracks. Have you ever been in love? It feels pretty good. And then continues on. I was just like, that is so simple. But I like how he said that. He said that to Atreus. One, Atreus is too young to even go through being in love and whatnot. So no, he's never been in love. Two, it feels so good in that, like, you know, it's one of the simple things in life. It's a big concept, of course, but it's a simple thing in life. You don't have to want all of this other shit. It's the fact that you got this one thing and you're so satisfied with it that you don't really need to be doing all this other stuff in your life because you're so satisfied with this one thing. And it just feels nice. Like, it just gives me a good feeling. And then when he switched up and was just like, oh yeah, you know, yeah, they could probably stop Ragnarok. I feel as though he really, like, you know, he didn't care about what the outcome really, like, was, if I'm being honest with you. He didn't really, like, want to do it, but he also didn't not want to do it. He kind of was just neutral on the shit. He was just like, no. Of course, I don't want to include my, you know, my love, my literal soulmate. Like, no, I don't want her to be harmed. I don't want her to have anything to do with this. Like, you know, like, yeah, you know, y'all gonna fight your war. Odin does need to be stopped. It's just that, like, I don't really need to be a part of it. Like, it's just kind of like on some of that type of shit and whatnot. And then he sees the blaze and he's just like, wait, so there is a weapon that is capable of holding my type of fire. Maybe this could work. Huh. Okay, let's attempt it. Just kind of like, yeah, let's try it. Shit, let's try it out. Like, you know. And then Ragnarok is formed. Now, Sinmara is upset, but that was the thing is, as long as she was okay, Surtur was, he was good on whatever happened because she's safe. and she's not part of this, and she gets to live on. Sadly, without him though. But I really like this character. This character's well done to me. You don't need so much out of that. Like, no, baby. He's not meant to be there. He's there for a good time, not a long time. Like, baby, no. Atreus leaving is the most unsatisfactory ending ever. I can't begin to tell you how unsatisfied I was to not only see Atreus going off, but the fact that he goes up somewhere and we never see him like continuing up the stairs. Like, no, he's literally gone. He's literally gone. We don't even cross paths with him. Just like, oh, was that Atreus? Like, I wanted there to be a moment at the end where it's just literally like we go into a realm and then we go to one of those like, door like unlocking things. And then we see somebody that's of his same height and same build. And he's traveling through there. And he walks through there before we could say, hey. I wanted there to be a moment like that. Kind of like, oh, he's still there. He's just not there. Like, he's not right beside you, but he's still in Norse mythology. Like, he's still around. I would have loved that, but we don't get that. We don't. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I went insane. I'm just joking with you. I'm not actually going insane off that shit. It's just literally like, we don't get that. Now, what was the most satisfactory? What made me cry was, the Kratos seeing how his prophecy will be. And that's going to be after I talk about this. Him hugging Atreus, as a goodbye, but not really, because Loki goes and Atreus remains. It is that's the most satisfactory. That's probably why I'm not as mad at Atreus leaving. Because when I be honest with you, before that shit and him being like, oh yeah, I have to go on my own, I was pissed off. I was just like, oh fuck no, what is this? But then when Kratos said that, it made me feel like, okay, everything's going to be all right. Like, I was just like, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. This really is just a telling for the future. It made me look at things like more hopeful for the next installments of the games. I was just like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. Like, I was just like that. Loki goes, but Atreus remains. Like, that's nice. Like, I'm not as bad. But, the biggest pro to this con, like Atreus leaving is a con to me. It's a con because I didn't want him to go. Like, I didn't want him to go, but it's not even just that. Even if he had left, I at least wanted to see like someone like him traveling through there before we could say, hey. I at least wanted to see something like that. Not just him sending souvenirs. That shit hurt me. Don't do that. Let's actually have a glimpse of him and then he leaves and then it's just like, oh shit, dang, we almost caught him. Dang, at least he's still around. Like that type of feeling, But no, we don't get that. So that's a con to me. Even though I like the fact that he actually goes on his own. He's capable. I'm not mad that he's going on his own to find the giants. I'm mad that we don't really even see him at all, ever again. Ew, I don't like that. Kratos seeing the prophecy that he will be worshipped and he will be seen and remembered as a god. Not even just as a god of war, but actually appreciated as a god and for every ounce of effort he has put into helping people. Even when he wanted to mind his business the most, he still went out his way to help people, unite the realms and whatnot, lead the charge. Kratos did that. And Odin made it a mission to tell Kratos, to basically belittle him and be like, what do you know about being a god? You never been worshipped. No one's ever made statues of you. No one's ever looked up to you. You don't know anything about being a god. Odin made, he made his step to say that shit. He wanted to say that shit to Kratos. To really bring down Kratos. Put him down a peg, being like, you really ain't all that. People don't like your ass, stuff like that. People like me. People love me. You don't know about the love that people can give a god. You're not appreciated. Odin wanted to do that. And then in the end, for Kratos to see that he will be appreciated, that he will be loved, that he will be treasured and remembered as not just a god of war, but a god of peace, a god of unification, a god of strength, I'm about to cry right now. I'm about to cry right now. That is another reason why the ending, it was unsatisfactory to me, because like, you know, Atreus leaving, of course, but it was made up for me to feel even better and for me to actually feel like it wasn't that bad. Like, you know, I'm just so happy I got to know this game. Like, I can't. I'm being sappy as fuck right now, but I'm just really happy that I got to know this game. He will be worshipped, bro. That is the greatest part of the ending to me. And that is why, for the title of this video, I'm going to attempt to be like, God of War Ragnarok wasn't satisfactory to me. Or wasn't it? Like, I wanted to be kind of like that type of shit, you know? And I could make a part 2 to this, but I feel like I've said almost all I need to say. I feel like I've said what I need to say. Anyways, that was all. May peace be with you for an eternity.